So more discoveries on the project Fiat 500 Sport. Just digging into it. I was about to do the timing and I discovered when I was going to take the pulley off that the pulley was sloppy. And I'm like, what the fuck? Here, the center bolt was loose. And what happened was, right here is supposed to be a platform. Well, since the bolt was loose, it sheared the platform off and it caused the woodruff key to shoot out. So that's why the timing was off. That's why it doesn't start. The crank is in good condition. Nothing's damaged. And I already had checked each cylinder with a bore scope and there's no damage. So a buddy of mine's got a key and a gear and we're just gonna slap it in here and just see if it runs. But yeah, that's what happened. So if you don't know what you're doing when you're doing timing, just leave it to the professionals. That bolt was loose and it caused that platform on that gear to shear off and break and lose the woodruff key. Here's the new gear. So I want to show you what happened. So, man, it's been a couple days, but let me see where I left off. Someone did the timing wrong on the 500 Sport, and they didn't tighten this pulley all the way. So since it was loose, it ended up cracking the key right there. And that's why it didn't start. So the key's broken right there. This was just flopping around on the crank. It went out of timing, all because this bolt was loose. And I bet you it's because if you look online, if you just Google Fiat 500 Multiair timing, it's like, oh, 20 Newton meters. And people overlook the 110 degree part. So it's 20 Newton meters plus 110 degrees because it's a stretch to yield bolt. But that's what it's supposed to look like right there with the key in it. No key, key. So we're gonna put this on and start this damn thing. I figured while I'm in here, I'll also show you that the tensioner was not right. This slit should line up here. So they didn't do the tensioner right, they didn't do the pulley right, and this is how you destroy an engine. And while I'm in here, a lot of people ask about the Multiair filter. This is your Multiair filter right here. You got to take your mount out, take this out. You don't have to replace this. I don't know why people think that you have to replace this thing. You just take it out and clean it. It's a mesh screen. There's no point in replacing this. You might need to replace the O-ring on it maybe once, but you can just take that out and spray it out with some brake clean. The Multiair filter is a size 10 hex. Once you back it out and it stops spinning, you have to pull it out because there's an O-ring in there. So you could just keep spinning it. You could keep loosening it forever and it's not going to come out. You have to wait till it stops and then you have to get two hands on it and you can pull it out. So that's your Multiair filter. Let me clean this up and we'll get a good look at it. See if there's anything in there. Here's the Multiair filter. There was nothing concerning in there. Nothing really to look at. But I've seen people like ask questions about this, where it is, what does it do. This filters the oil that goes into the Multiair unit that opens the valves. As you can see, you don't have to replace this. It's just a mesh screen. You may have to replace that O-ring on the end of it, but there's no point to replace this entire unit. When you go to reinstall it, you do have to put thread sealer on here. So make sure you thread seal it and run it back in. But there's tiny little things, but like if this whole screen was blocked and sludged up, then there would be an issue. But there's nothing that would block any oil flow going on in here. Now's a good time to put some Loctite on this bolt. Now that you see how important this is, this comes off. That gear's cracking. and your engine could possibly be no good. Put a little bit of blue thread locker on this bolt. I'm using the crank locking tool to tighten this bolt so that, because it needs such a lot of force, if I go to tighten it without locking it, it's going to spin. So if this is a problem you run into, this is what you're going to do. You're going to put your timing tool on, make sure everything's tight. You're going to thread lock that center bolt, and what you're going to do is 20 Newton meters on this bolt initially, which is almost, it's 15 foot-pounds. So 15 foot-pounds on this bolt first, and then you're going to do 110 degrees. Now here's a little cheat code. If you don't have a proper torque wrench or a degreeing tool, you can get one of these. So what you would do is, you could see I have it on 110. So that's 110 degrees. So what you would do is do your 15 foot-pounds wherever the bolt lands. You're going to put this and mark 110 degrees with a marker on your ratchet or on your socket, and then you're going to turn to the mark that you make that's 110 degrees. Just to recap what we're doing, we're marking 110 degrees on the bolt. So the top of the bolt is the zeroing point, and I have to turn it to there. That's 110 degrees. Don't miss this step. This bolt is not 20 Newton meters and then you're done. It's 20 Newton meters, which is 15 foot-pounds, plus 110 degrees. You're supposed to replace this because it's a stretch bolt. We're not doing it in this case because we're going to be yanking this engine out anyway. Alright, we got the cam locked in place with the tool. Oh, come around here. This is a critical step. You want to loosen the cam gear bolt, which I've already done. I want you to see something. This gear's been on here for who knows how long. It will not spin, and that's not good. This gear should be able to free spin with this bolt loose. If it's not free spinning, something's wrong. So take the bolt completely out and take the gear completely off. And then you're going to want to WD-40 and Scotch-Brite the camshaft where this sprocket sits on so that it can free spin. So what I ended up doing to get the cam gear off of the camshaft was sprayed the tiniest amount of WD-40 between the gear and the camshaft and gave it 2 gentle taps with a rubber mallet. Don't go crazy. Then you just want to rock it back and forth and slip it off. Here's the gear. But you see all this corrosion? This is what you don't want. So you want to spray all this with WD-40 and get a Scotch-Brite pad until this shines up like a mirror so that the gear can free spin on the camshaft. This is what you're looking for right here. You want that gear to spin on the cam easily. I don't know if I mentioned this, but after you use the WD-40 and Scotch-Brite and you clean that camshaft up and the inside of this, take some parts cleaner or rubbing alcohol and clean it up really good, because all that's holding it on is pressure, is friction. So yes, you do want it to be able to spin, but not crazy that it would slip. So take some alcohol, parts cleaner, and clean that surface and the gear. It's fucking windy as shit out here. Alright, I'm going to show you the key ingredient to the whole thing. First off, if you're going to reuse any belts, make sure you mark the direction that they travel. So if the engine, the engine goes clockwise, make sure you put an arrow clockwise, so you put the belt on back the same way. But I want to show you the cam gear pivoting in action. One sec, let me see, I can't see my mark. Alright, watch this. So as you apply tension, see the cam rotating? It's kind of hard because I'm holding it. See that? That's what you want right there. When you apply tension, you want the gear to spin into place. Okay? That's what you're looking for, right there. Also, put a little Loctite on this bolt for the cam gear. Anything that spins, you want to put Loctite on. Even the pulley down here that goes there, I have seen them back out, even on my own car. After following all the steps, I've seen them back out. So put a little blue Loctite on those 3 bolts that hold your pulley on. Real quick, I also recommend putting just a little dab of Loctite, blue Loctite, on your tensioner. Because you remember, this is holding the whole thing together. Now everything I'm doing applies to the Abarth too. So if you care about your turbo engine, follow these steps. Alright, now's the time. It's all done. It's all back together. Timing's all set. This is going to be a true cold start. You know what I can't stand? When people say, oh, this is the first time, it's the cold start, and they've already started the car. This is true cold start. Well, true first start. I've never heard this car run. This car was towed to my house. So I don't know if it's blown up. I don't know what's going to happen. We're all going to find out together. Huh. This motherfucker's shaking. Let me double check my work. It had oil. That's spinning. You guys are coming along for the ride with me. Let's see. Come on, baby. Damn, she don't want to start. Huh. Maybe we'll have to prime the Multiair. I mean, we'll try. I'm gonna come back. But there you guys see, first crank, it didn't work, it failed. So let me dig deeper and see what I could find out. Alright, it's a few days later, and after tearing into the car more, I actually got it to fire up. But it immediately dies. I think, well, when I first got it, you heard the video, it would just crank, 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 and just die. It wouldn't even start at all. Now it actually starts for a second. Okay. Let's see. It wants to run. Now, all the coils are cracked, so yeah. I think it's those. I'm not sure. One cylinder actually looks like it's not getting fuel. But we're close. I want to get this thing to run just to say that I got it to run. So, I'm almost there. I might just throw coils in it and see what happens. Not sure yet. But that's where we are at. I've been hunting for a donor car for the K-swap. And, geez, I had a deal lined up. Supposed to meet the guy. I'm talking to him. Then he just stops responding. I don't know why people do that. They don't like money. I'm ready to go pick this car up, and they just decide they're not going to reply anymore. But I am on the hunt for a K-swap. I want to just get a whole car. I don't want to just get the engine and trans because it's more money. It just makes more sense to get an entire car that's crashed or whatever. And I've been on Copart looking for one. But we are going to do it. I'm determined to do it. So stay tuned for more. This damn thing won't start. I might just throw some cheapo coils in it and see what happens. But I'll catch you in the next one.